Sí, sí. Bueno, bueno, sí.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Our candidate is Mr. Sicelo Emmanuel Dlamini. Okay, my name is, good evening, Mr. Sicelo. You are welcome. My name is Nonhlanhla Ncube-Ndaba. I'm the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. We must relax, stay calm, drink water. If you don't understand the question, you can ask our members to repeat the question again. Thank you very much. The first question is about yourself. Tell us about yourself and why do you think you are a suitable candidate to be recommended to the president to appoint you as a commissioner?
Thank you. Who's voicing? Oh, okay, thank you. Hi, I am Sicelo Emmanuel Dlamini. I'm the CR member. I'm the CR member commission from KZN. I have 18 years experience within different government institutions. I think that gender equality is the same organization and is a sister organization as well to empower women and equality. I think I'm the best person to represent this committee in order to create more equality with different people, including persons with disabilities, as well as women and youth.
Okay. You heard that I asked him 2 questions. Why does he think he's the suitable candidate?
Sorry, Chair, may I please intervene? When you're interviewing, please just ask him directly, speak to him directly, and then we are just his voice.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. All right. My second question was, why do you think you are a suitable candidate to be appointed as a commissioner?
I have enough knowledge and experience. I've been in the sector for 18 years and I have a clear understanding of the Chapter 9 institution. It's been 18 years of experience and I've always just lobbied for equality. I know how to work independently. And my background is that of commissioner. I have done monitoring and evaluation and I have overseen. And I also know how to work. I've worked with King's Ivy, come closer. I do think I am the best, I would be the best rep, especially because I'm a deaf person myself. And this does represent people who also have a disability. So I want to show everyone that persons with disabilities can take on any role and take on seats. And I want to motivate others as well, to have this motivation to take on work like this and also to work towards mind shifts. And that's why I think I'm the best candidate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Masiko.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, and good evening to your good self, Mr. Dlamini. My name is Honorable Fikile Masiko. I am a member of the Portfolio Committee for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. Firstly, we must appreciate your presence in this interview, especially as a member of this portfolio committee. The question that I have for you relates to the mandate of the commission, since you have applied to become a commissioner in CGE. What is your understanding of CGE's mandate, powers, and function in terms of the Constitution and its enabling environment or legislation? Secondly, please explain the role of a commissioner at the Commission for Gender Equality. Thank you.
Thank you. My understanding about the empowerment of the GC and the Constitution Section 187 of the Constitution has an act, I think it's Act 9. And Act 89.
89. Act 89.
Act 89 of 2013. Sorry, we're just clarifying if he's saying Act 9 or Act 89 or Act 39. Act 39
Of 100, of 186.
Section 89 of 186. Which relates to gender equality. Take your mic, babe. Sorry, I'm gonna ask interpreter to take over because she can see him clearly. Please, Trifosa will support you.
Who must take over?
Must I take over?
Remember when you say wrong numbers of the act, we take it that that's what he told you, and if it's wrong, it's wrong. Sorry? When your interpreters are interpreting wrong in terms of the Constitution's clause And in terms of the act, the CGE Act, if they call wrong numbers, for instance, if you are saying section 89 or section 189, and then they say a wrong section, they say section 36 or whatever, we'll take it that that is the answer, the wrong answer you gave it to them. So it's important that they must clearly understand the numbers. When you say, we talk about the Constitution, the clauses, and the Act. Because we'll be minusing the points. But if you want to correct it, you can still tell them that no, this is the right subsection or the clause, so that it can be correct. It can be corrected.
I think that they need to have maybe correct themselves or each other, because he can't hear, unfortunately, their responses to in terms of vocally. So I think they need to assist each other, because as they were doing, if one probably misinterprets, the other one would be able to then serve as a support and ensure that they call out the correct numbers. And I think, Chair, it is important that they represent him quite well and not misrepresent his responses in the interview.
Yeah.
Very important, Chairperson. I support it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson. Apologies about the confusion and the sign language interpreters, apologies on that. Okay, come back to Honorable
Masiko.
Masiko. I know the mandate of CGE from the Constitution. Section 187 of the Constitution, which gives the act which 39, Act 39 of 1996, 186. 1996.
1996.
Yes. Under CGE to empower the CGE to evaluate policies. The act bills relates to gender equality. Secondly, to do investigation, complaints about gender equality. Thirdly, to report in Parliament. Fourthly, to do the research, any law, any legislative act, it involves CGE, gender equality, to make sure government complies with all bills, legislative, to promote and to protect gender equality. To make sure government institutions, organizations, businesses to comply and to implement gender equality in the work environment. We have international gender law. South Africa must comply with international law. And South Africa also must comply with bills, which are there two? Which bills which are there to protect gender equality. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. It's a CGE. Don't misread him. He says CGE. Okay. Yeah, Ma'am Selma?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good evening, Hello, Emmanuel Dlamini. My question is around gender equality and gender mainstreaming. Let me say you are a commissioner. As a commissioner of the CGE, how would you advise government departments and entities and the private sector to mainstreaming gender in order to achieve gender equality? Second one, what in your view are the key mechanism or measures to foster gender equality in society? I thank you.
Thank you. Can you kindly please repeat your question again? First question. First question, thank you. Can you please just ask one by one? Thank you.
As a commissioner of the CGE, how would you advise government departments and entities and the private sector to mainstreaming gender in order to achieve gender equality? Let me answer there.
Okay, thank you very much. It's fine, you are welcome. Firstly, I will talk about my experience. That I was involved in eThekwini municipality for gender equality to change bills. Yeah, bills of municipality. Then we established gender equality. For me as government, we need to make sure that the working environment of gender equality are achieved. CGE.
So we can research all the regulations that are being implemented by the government or the municipalities. So we can also offer and communicate with all the departments in our government institutions so that we can mainstream under a CGE. That's the priority. And also, we need to work and activate and also lobby and prioritize mainstream gender-based gender actions, and also departments need to be responsible and know how they regulate for CGE. And also, we should also regulate all the government rules and urge the ministers to be part of the implementations of SGE. Then if those are not done, we need to take them to court so that there could be equity in all the businesses or government stakeholders. And yeah, thank you. Second question, please, ma'am.
Thank you. What, in your view, are the key mechanism or measures to foster gender equality in society?
Okay, thank you very much. Good question. Before I answer, when the institution, companies, organization fails to implement CGE, now we need to act. We need to take action. The organization, they need to make sure that it's a tool that needs to be implemented. It can help us to show the mandate or the bill of the commission. Recommendation, if the recommendation are not implemented, we need to make sure that they account each organization or institution or department. They must make sure that they implement the gender equality. Yes, previous years, it was nice and it was negotiated. But now we need to make sure, we need to be strict, we need to make sure that it's implemented. Now it's time to act. My proposal, CGE, we need to negotiate for MOU to make sure that they account and they implement. It is very important for all the institutions. Thank you.
You want to negotiate the MOU with who? For what?
Oh, it's my proposal.
Oh.
CGE must have MOU with equality court. With equality court. They can have a relationship. They can formulate a relationship. When a company or institution or organization, they fail to implement the gender equality, we need to go to equality courts. Thank you.
What is gender equality?
It means women and men.
It means the equality of men and women.
Yeah.
My understanding about gender equality is to promote men and women, to protect women and women, give them opportunity, any workplace, same opportunities. In workplaces, access must be equal. Like previous years, the men were having a lot of opportunities. Now it's time for men to get a lot of opportunities and to empower the women. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Sheriff.
Thank you very much, Chair. I was kicked out because of load shedding. I'll try and show my camera, but it's a bit dark. Hello. My name is Honorable Nazli Sharif, and I'm a member of this portfolio committee. Gender-based violence and femicide is a massive issue that we are grappling with as a country. Can you tell us, in your perspective, and the information you know about the Commission for Gender Equality, has the CGE done enough to combat gender-based violence and femicide in this country? That's the first question, Chair. I'll come back with the second question.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Member, for your question. CGE have been here for 5 years, from 2019 to 2024. They need to do some work, but they didn't achieve a lot of work. I think it's in the impact. There has been not.
Sorry, there hasn't been enough impact. I think we need to achieve more, because if I check, only 49%, which is not achievable enough. So we need to make sure that we do more when it comes to that. So like 5 years for me, I think CGE has to work on it and work with other stakeholders so that we can have national conference of GBV violence and also femicide, so that most of the time when government is there and planning, it should also involve society. And then you should also formulate a GBVF council, which will represent all gender, male and females. So that when you establish a council, it means that you support all people of this world and also who have been victims of GBV. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your answer. The second question is, can you tell us what is the National Strategic Plan? And can you explain at least 2 of the 7 pillars. Thank you.
Can you, honorable member, come again with your question again, please?
No problem. Can you tell us what the National Strategic Plan on GBVF is in your own words, and in your answer to explain at least 2 pillars listed in the NSP?
Sorry, listed in what?
In the
Apologies.
National Strategic Plan,
The pillars listed in?
the
National
National
Strategic Plan.
Next.
And that is the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence. Okay, she wants to ascertain your understanding on what the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence is, and if you could outline 2 pillars of the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence.
Okay, thank you, honorable member. It's clear. National Strategic Plan and NSP, National Strategic Plan, GBV, it focus on the pillars. 1, about the bill. The bill is very important pillar. That 37 of 2021. Of 2021, it can help the National Strategic Plan. We have sexual offences bill. We have domestic bill. That is the part of the National Strategic Plan to help violence in South Africa. Solve violence in South Africa. National Strategic Plan is to promote and to protect gender equality, including society. We need to remove any type of violence that is GBV. Another pillar is about international GBV.
I think
International focus on GBV.
My understanding is National Strategic Plan want all people of South Africa to be included, to remove GBV violence. Thank you.
I
Thank you, honorable member.
you misinterpreted the question. With regards to gender-based violence in South Africa, there is a strategic plan, national strategic plan. We are not talking about the bills that you have passed. That in relations to sexual offense, domestic violence, and the third one is, we're not talking about that one, but we're talking about the National Strategic Plan for Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. Which has 6 pillars. So Honorable Sheriff was asking him about 2 pillars in that NSP.
Can I answer? The National Strategic Plan is about how South Africa want to achieve GBVF in any place or any work environment. CGE must lead to make sure all accountable implement GBV in any organization or any association. To promote, protect any issue that is related with GBV or gender equality. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Masondo.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, Stella. My question is so short.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Tabile Sylvia Mavimbela, member of this committee. How do you think the CGE can strengthen its own M&E and oversight by Parliament, monitoring and evaluation?
Okay, thank you, Honorable Member. We can strengthen CGE monitoring and evaluation depend on the panel of the commissioner. We need to have a plan where commissioners can allow, can be able to monitor government, the compliance. Secondly, CGE can be responsible to follow all the recommendations to make sure that the government is implementing. Secondly, CGE must achieve all the targets for their own work. It is very important for commissioners to evaluate and to monitor the targets and see the annual reports, if they achieve or not. They must develop the capacity inside the CGE. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Once you interpret even yourself before you say something, that thing must make sense to you. Because what he says and what you are interpreting, it's something different. So you'll be misrepresenting him. We are depending on you and you are taking what you're saying. Okay, Honorable Kaula. Ma'am, I'm going to so
Thank you, Chair. My name is Sibongile Makoti Kaula, member wale Portfolio Committee. Mr. Dlamini, ngifuna nje just ukwazi nje ukuthi qaphu ungakubambezeli. Ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi imaphi amaqhinga makwenzeka nje uyangena kule department aka CGE. Imaphi amaqhinga ongawenza ukugqugquzela umphakathi wazise ngokulingana kwabantu besilisa nabesifazane emphakathini namalungelo abo. Okunye ukubheka amacala nokuthi ashushiswa ngendlela efanele yini na emacourt. Noma ngime ngizobe ngiqhubeka. Okay.
Can the interpret can he put it into English?
Okay.
Thank you.
The honorable member is asking. Oh, sorry. The honorable member is asking if what strategies would you employ to create awareness in the community? Should you be appointed as a commissioner? And also, what would be your contribution towards? Oh, sorry.
Okay. So my strategic plan within the community would definitely be awareness. We need to create great awareness, have an in-depth strategic plan, and perhaps even have so this GCE needs to have an integral plan within the community, perhaps such as awareness events where people can access information. So we can work with many different traditional leaders as well. There are places in communities where they do have kings and chiefs. And within those communities, we can go in there and ensure that we create awareness strategies, invite the young people, invite the youth of South Africa. We do have a large number of youth here, but we need to be aware that these youth do not understand what we're all about. So once we go into these communities and actually work with the youth, make sure that we also invite those up until university levels as well. We shouldn't undermine the power of the youth. We need to be able to build that relationship with the young within the community as well as within universities, so that they are able to gather the information about us and about equality. We can also create partnerships such as with bodies like NYD, because NYD actually has a lot of youth within their community, within their body. as well as persons with disabilities. We tend to leave persons with disabilities behind when we are trying to create awareness and disseminate information. So it is important that no one is left behind within this. So persons with disabilities will definitely have to be part of our partnerships so that national organizations that represents persons with disabilities, they are able to come into us, to be involved in this. We have many organizations within the communities that people do not have access to, and we would be able to create that accessibility. Another partnership that we can have is with the SABC. If we do partner with them, they are able to assist in creating awareness. By following these steps, our community becomes larger. And also the SABC will help us to then intercept the adults. And then lastly, the radio community. The radio community might be a small community, yes, but it is really a channel of creating awareness. People love listening into the radio and getting their voices heard there, and that's where a lot of comments can come through. So those are the kind of partnerships we can create and the work that we would do within the communities. Thank you so much. Sorry, Honorable, you did have a second question. Would you like to go ahead?
Angithi bengithanga ngifaka 1-1. No, kukhona la bengifuna futhi ukubuza ukuthi last year sike sahamba saya eGermany. La sifike sathola khona ukuthi abantu abakhubazekile nabantu abangakhubazekile bafunda kanye kanye. Ngabe lana singakwazi sokubona nini kwenzeka la ukuze labantu aba-disabled bengayiboni bona ongathi bayacanulwa ngokuba lokhuzana ngokukhubazeka kwabo. Okwekusengcina ikuphi la sobona khona izikole zabantu lana eSouth Africa zanda zabantu abakhubazekile ngoba engikhuluma ubulayo nje lana eMarahil bezikhona izikole kodwa manje angisayizwi indaba yabo. Yini ongasisiza ngayo ukuthi lezo izikole zakhiwe ngoba emakhaya ngisayiphinda lento kugcina umuntu okhubazekile ethatheka njengomuntu ongayeka alunge ufanele yena kube ahole i-disability grant. Ngiyabonga.
The next question is with regards to schooling and schools where people living with disability and people with able-bodied people can study together. What would be your contribution towards that? And then also the building of schools for teaching people with disabilities as well. There are very few, and what would be also your strategy towards ensuring that that also is achieved?
Emakhaya zikho izikole
There are no schools in rural areas.
for abantu abadisability.
There are no schools in rural areas.
Okay. Thank you so much, Honorable. That's a very good question, and it's such a sensitive topic, to be honest. Because in South Africa, the people who have disabilities have a lot of challenges, you know, like myself. Look at me. I'm a person that was born in a rural area. Was in Zululand, and then I moved to go to school. But before I got to school, my mom was really struggling to find school for me. And the government, they looked at this and they just thought, okay, this is a school for disabilities. There were different schools within different districts, you know, but there would only be like one in each district. So what happened is because the schools were very few and far between, the children would actually stay at home. Children with disabilities would not be getting an education. So they needed to be able to, sorry. So then let me just take that back again. We need to investigate how we can actually solve this problem, because you do still find children with disabilities living in rural areas that are just staying at home and are not accessing education. The reason being is that our government focuses a lot on cities and literally just kind of forgets about the rural areas. So, for example, provinces such as the Northern Cape, I think there's only like one school there for the deaf, perhaps, you know? So if you maybe, or you find schools where there's only like a few grades, what happens if you go to the next grade? What happens in Mpumalanga? There's only 3 schools. You know, so when you arrive there and you miss your opportunity to make it into that school because they've reached capacity, you have to wait another year at home. That for me is a huge challenge. So the GCE has apologies. So the CGE can use their power to capacitate, to be able to capacitate the provinces. I mean, we've got 9 different provinces which really need to be capacitated, and we need to focus on this. It is our responsibility to cultivate this, and it's very, very important. We need the CG. We need to be able to report to Parliament why Parliament is not focusing on this challenge, right? So it would be our responsibility to motivate for this. And I think that having more schools that persons with disabilities can access is really an important point that we can really give strength to when giving the agenda to Parliament. Thank you, Honourable.
Thank you very much. We have come to the end of the questions. It's already 45 minutes. Is there any question?
Me? Am I allowed to ask a question myself?
Yeah.
No, I'm fine. I don't have any questions, but I only want to say thank you so much for the opportunity of having me here into this interview. I know that it wasn't easy to select a person with a disability to come here, and you've probably thought about the challenges you might face if I was to get this position. But so just for the opportunity for me being here, I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Next week, we'll be deliberating on the outcomes of the interviews. And then you can watch us next week. And then we will then go present the report to the chamber in the National Assembly. And thereafter, after the honorable members have voted for the candidates that will be recommended by the committee, then the report will be taken to the president to appoint the final candidates as commissioners.
Yes, I understand. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck and travel safe.
Thank you. I love you. Bye.
We love you too.
But 1 minute is not like
Tasneem and Kashifa, go quick. No, they're just going outside and come back. I understand. Usithanda sonke. Thank you very much, honorable members. Dr. Chanel Ruby Naidu. Yeah, good evening to you.
Good evening.
You're welcome. My name is Nonhlanhla Ncube-Ndaba. I'm the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth, and Persons with Disabilities.
Pleased to meet you.
You have 45 minutes with us. So you are our last candidate. Honorable members are going to introduce themselves as and when they ask you questions. Before they ask you questions, they will introduce themselves. So the first question is about yourself. Tell us about yourself and why do you think you are fit and proper and a suitable candidate to be appointed, to be recommended to the House for the president to appoint you as a commissioner?
Good evening, everyone. I'm proudly born and bred in KZN from Wentworth. I'm a 54-year-old colored master educator. I've always been passionate about working for the CGE. Hence, my postgrad studies at honors, masters, and PhD level, all focused on GBV, gender equality, gender oppression, and intersectionality. Although I apply to work for CGE full-time or part-time, it will be my dream to work full-time for the CGE, as this will fulfill a lifelong, my lifelong dream and aspiration.
Thank you very much. Honorable Masiko.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, and a very good evening to you, Dr. Naidu.
Good evening, ma'am.
I am also from KZN. In my language, Situ Umkaya.
Okay.
So you are coming from my home province. Here, this question relates to the legislative mandate of CGE. We wish to ascertain your understanding of the mandate as well as the powers and the functions of CGE as an institution, and which was established with the view of strengthening constitutional democracy. What is your understanding then of the CGE's mandate, powers and function in terms of the Constitution and its enabling legislation? That's the first part of the question. The second portion of the question relates to your understanding of the role of a commissioner in the institution CGE. Thank you.
Okay. Firstly, my understanding of the mandate of the CGE is firstly to promote, protect, monitor, and evaluate gender equality through research, public education, legislative initiatives, and monitoring. The CGE has several functions. The CGE has translated its mandate and obligations into 4 major strategic objectives. The first one being to create and implement an enabling legislative framework for the attainment of gender equality. Secondly, to promote and protect gender equality through education, raising awareness of gender equality, patriarchal stereotypes and notions that may sometimes infringe on those gender rights. Thirdly, it is to monitor the role of the state compliance in terms of the covenants, conventions, charters that it has acceded to and ratified in terms of the mandate of the Commission. And finally, it is to build an effective, efficient, and sustainable institution so that it can carry out its constitutional mandate. And that is the attainment of gender equality for all, regardless of race, gender identity, sexual orientation, geographical location.
Honorable Masiko.
Thank you, Chen, and thank you, Dr. Naidu. What then becomes the role of a commissioner in CGE?
Okay, the role of the commissioner is basically to form an oversight role in terms of the commission function, obviously to guide and steer the commission with regard to its constitutional mandate and the mission and the vision to create a society free of gender inequality and gender oppression.
Honorable, Mamsema.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good evening, Mkhaya. I'm from KZN.
Good evening, ma'am.
My name is Magdalena Duduzile Hlengwa. I'll take it that you are a commissioner, because my question based on gender equality and gender mainstreaming. As a commissioner of the CGE, how would you advise government department and entity and the private sector to mainstream gender in order to achieve gender equality? Secondly, what is your understanding of gender discrimination? Thank you.
Okay. Firstly, my role as a commissioner would be to firstly foster the basic fundamental rights of an individual in terms of the gender rights. I would make sure that the HR department of whether it's a state institution or public institution is fully aware of the rights and the mission and mandate of the CGE. And that in my role as commissioner, I will advise and guide them in terms of policies regarding gender equality, and to give them basic guidelines for the advancements and achievement of gender equality for all. Obviously, demand their action plan so that gender is just not, gender equality is not just in theory and lips and on paper. It must be seen in their action plans, in the way they run their organization. Demand that accountability, that this gender, the achievements and advancements of gender equality is not just on a particular day or at a particular event or in a particular month, that this is an ongoing thing. It becomes part of the organizational, the organization itself, so that we see that we have gender champions in all institutions, so that it becomes visible in our actions as well as in our policies and theories. The second question, ma'am, could you repeat that?
The second question, what is your understanding of gender discrimination?
Okay, gender discrimination can take on many codes, many colors. Gender discrimination is any act that violates a person's basic human right. An example of a gender discrimination could be, say, for example, someone who is a non-normative gender, right? And they are discriminated upon, say in the school environment. I'll use the school example because I'm an educator. Perhaps that particular educator, as a result of their gender identity or their sexual orientation, is denied or deprived of a job simply because they are non-normative or non-normal individuals. That could be one example of gender discrimination. People could also be discriminated based on their race, their religion. I did mention sexual orientation and gender identity, even in terms of class and status as well. You find that very often, even in today, so many years later into democracy, and people are still discriminated on the basis of their status, their race, their class, even their the affiliations to the different religions as well. It's varied. gender discrimination, it's varied. There's not just one example of gender discrimination.
Honorable Kaula.
Oh, sorry, Chair, I have a follow-up on that question, if it's okay.
Yes, you can.
Hello, my name is Nazli Sharif, member of the Portfolio Committee. I am in load shedding, so I'm going to put my video off, but I just wanted to show you who I am. You spoke about accountability and holding governments accountable when it comes to gender equality. And you obviously understand the intersectionality of gender and how it fosters within society. But can you give us examples of how you will hold government accountable? And what, in your perspective, is the CGE doing right and perhaps doing wrong when it comes to holding government accountable? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We need to look at some government policies as well in terms of gender discrimination and holding government accountable. Very often you find that we have certain quotas or certain rules and regulations regarding males or females in terms of jobs and fulfilling jobs and roles. But very often you find that those institutions still remain male heavy, and you battle to see the female in that. So I think demanding accountability, you have to go in and look at the policies, look at the way in which they try to achieve that, and the way in which they are making every effort to achieve gender equality in all facets of that particular organization. Demanding accountability, yes, even if it means having to take the government to court or to report them. I think that will be the role of the CGE, because you've got to carry out your mandate without fear or favor, impartially. I cannot remember the second part of your question, ma'am.
My second part was, in your view, what has the CGE done correctly, or maybe what they haven't done as well as good in terms of holding government accountable?
Holding government accountable.
Yes.
I think the CGE has done a lot of things right in terms of holding government accountable. Firstly, it is an institution that is independent, and as I said to you, impartially carries out its duty without fear or favor. There are several instances where the CGE has actually brought governments and government institutions to book for not fulfilling their gender mandate, their mandate in terms of gender equality. Where they can do a little bit more, I feel, is maybe amplify their voice a little bit more, not just in government, I mean, in all sectors as well. If you look at the private sector as well, there's so much more that the CGE can do. For example, I believe that if you just take one, I'd like to see the CGE amplify their voice in terms of, this is my recommendation, have the CGE 9 campaign or the CGE 9 Cares campaign, where you have that 9 minutes, you have on the 9th of every month, for 9 minutes, whether it's at 9 o'clock in the evening or 9 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the evening, you have these public education, you educate the public via digital platforms, traditional media channels as well, because very often you see on the news and in the short adverts, they have snippets of court cases that sometimes are so old, and you tend to put the TV on mute. If the CGE could use those opportunities to educate the public use those 9 minutes at 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the evening, flood the airwaves in terms of gender education, everything about gender equality, whatever you can do to put your voice out there. That will be a recommendation on my part in terms of the CGE9 Cares campaign. I'd also like to see the second part, and I know that the CG has already made its voice and its voice visible in these sectors, but I'd also like to introduce the CGE9 Get It Done campaign, or Gender Champions campaign, where you target 9 specific areas. And as I said, I know it's been done already, but maybe we need to amplify it a little bit more. You have your schools, your institutions of higher education, your religious places of worship, your hospitals, your entertainment areas, your state institutions, prisons, and you demand a presence. The CGE's presence there. What are they doing? Make them accountable in terms of advancing gender equality. So it must be out there. Everyone must know about the CGE. Very often you talk about it, and sometimes people ask you, what is it all about? And there it is, it's in your face. Put it out there. Demand accountability in terms of their codes of conduct, their codes of practice. Let it be visible, more vocal. And I know it's been done, but I just feel that it needs to be continuously done, and not just at certain periods of the year, or when an incident that's so traumatic arises.
Honorable Kaula.
Thank you, Chair. Ngibonge, Chair. Mr. Dr. Naito, we also nami ngumkhaya wakho mfethu. Sonke sisuka sizingane zikame sizulu ikingi yethu. No, lana bengizocela nje ukubheka lana. Njengo CGE kufanele kube umuntu ozokwazi ukubheka endaweni ka-government, ngabe kwezokuphepha emaphoyiseni, isemakhoti, seyikoleni, siphinde futhi sibheke nama-languages akhulunywayo. Ukuthi lama-language akhulunywa la eSouth Africa selokhu sathatha inkululeko ngo-1994, ngabe amelelekile na? Kade besikhuluma ngo-11 language, manje sesikhuluma ngo-12 mase sibala nalaba abakhuluma ngezandla. Umbuzo wami-ke uthi, if kwenzeka okunye ngizoyibeka lento bakufanele ngiyikhulume kanjalo, noma kudeploy abantu, udeploy abantu like khuluma ngama-list conference manje, ukubhekelela ibalance laphayana ukuthi kumelelekile yini abantu besifazane. Siyazi qala abantu besifazane besithini besithi 50-50, kodwa manje asasho njalo. Bengifuna ukwazi ukuthi konke lokho engikhuluma ngakho manje inini lesobona khona ukuthi abantu besifazane bayapromothwa, hayi ukuthi njalo uma uthi uyabheka abantu besilisa phezulu, umuntu wesifazane lokho aseka. Ema-court uthola ukuthi sinama-judge, sinama-magistrate, kodwa uthola phezulu umuntu okuyena yena ophethe owesilisa. Njalo njalo ey'koleni no-principal. Umbuzo wami-ke uthi-ke wena makwenzeka ungena kulo mnyango lo wase-GE, ikuphi la esokubona khona umela abantu besimame kanjalo nabakhubazekile? Sesikuyeka lokuthi sikhuluma ngo-CGE female and male. Sengikhuluma-ke nje mina ngokulandela imithetho eshawayo thina la eParliament ukuthi to make sure ukuthi phansi kuyenzeka. Asibabona abantu besifazane kanjalo yini ozosisiza ngayo lapha. Ngisazobuya.
With your permission, Chair. Thank you, Dr. Naidi. The honorable member just indicated that she's also from KZN under King Misuzulu. So you are her home girl, so to speak. As CGE, they are, as the committee, they're looking for somebody who will take CGE and look into some of the things that affect the government, how the police function, how the courts function, and at schools and so on. The languages being used in South Africa since 1994, if those languages are represented. Previously, we had 11 languages. Now we've added the 12th one, sign language, and whether it has equal representation. Also, in deployment of people, whether there's equal representation for women. Previously, we insisted on the 50-50. Can it get better? And so on. And when will we see women promoted into key positions in the country? Because until now, although there may be women occupying some high positions, but the top tier of any structure in our country is usually men. This happens in courts. There might be lady judges, but there's always the male figure as the top man in charge of everything. So should you take this position, what will you do in order to make sure that there's equal representation of women and people with disabilities? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Firstly, I believe any individual should get a position based on merit and not simply because we are female. I think very often the notion and the belief is that someone's got a job simply because she's female. And I think that's the attitude that needs to change, because in the recent past, we see that there are several, in fact, millions of females out there who are forced to be reckoned with. It's going to take a long time to change those patriarchal attitudes and notions and social norms that may sometimes govern and dictate gender inequality. I would like to work with my team and with my colleagues to come up with policies that need to be effective ASAP to see that gender transformation, and not the gender transformation simply because of you want to advance the rights and the position of women, but it must be given on merit. Yes, I will use my position as a commissioner for the advancement of a female empowerment, and obviously to work as a team to get this done and to get it done sooner rather than later. Changing patriarchal notions, yes, it's going to take quite a long time, but we will do it. And we have to believe that we can do it. And I have great skill. I've acquired skill in terms of my research at my postgrad level. I believe that has afforded me with the critical skills to analyze data, research, and to conduct independent research as well. And I think that's the way forward. Conduct independent research and take it from there.
Do you believe that you have leadership skills? And if so, can you provide us with an example of when you successfully exercise a leadership?
Okay.
And then the second one is, do you have management experience? If so, can you provide us with details of this experience, highlighting specific management skills that you possess? And the last one, do you regard the ability to communicate as key to the position of a commissioner, and why? And what is your opinion?
Okay. I've acquired skill during my postgrad studies. My honors, masters, and PhD studies all focused on gender equality, GBV, gender oppression, as well as intersectionality. My modules on gender curriculum and identity, gender justice and gender regimes and justice, independent research, all equip me with that skill to be able to speak on public platforms. I have also acquired skill in terms of writing. I wrote for the South African Journal of Higher Education with regard to GBV and gender equality and oppression at university level. I've also presented at university conferences, indabas, and seminars. Intertwined with skills is also knowledge, and knowledge of gender equality and gender oppression. And this is so prevalent not only in universities, it's everywhere you go. And in my master's and my PhD studies, I made several recommendations to the university. And I'm proud to say that they have implemented some of those recommendations. The first being the introduction of a compulsory module for all students, regardless of whatever studies or course you are planning on taking up. The second one is the introduction of a task team. And I'm glad to see that that has come to fruition. It is my fervent hope and wish that they use my model that I recommended, that is the UniWays model, the University Integrated Whole Approach System of Evaluation, where you incorporate all facets of the institution to work towards achieving this gender equality so that it doesn't just become the figurehead and one or two people that will work towards achieving this. Also at school level, I'm a senior and master educator. I'm a subject head. I very often work in collaboration with my colleagues to develop several policies and school codes of conduct. I'm a district examiner and moderator. I'm a district cluster head and coordinator. I'm part of the school academic integrity committee, and I mentor junior staff as well. I'm also, as part of my duties, I'm responsible for counseling learners, because very often you find that schools are microcosms of the society in which the kids live. And they come to school and they do exactly what, they perform exactly what is being performed at home. And you have to sometimes fight to change that mindset. And we do that by including in our school magazine a gender corner, conscientize the learners in terms of all things gender, create that gender space for them as well, allow them to become gender champions as well, not to just accept the abuse, to accept the discrimination. And also you find that they come into the space, into the school environment, believing that my boyfriend hit me because he loves me, or my boyfriend says that if I must sleep with him to show him that I love him. So you need to change that mindset. And it's not just the girl child. You need to work with all the students as well. Change the way they think. And as part of my duty and responsibility as a master educator, I try to do that. I'm not sure if I answered your question. It was a loaded question. If you could just remind me if I haven't answered all.
No, you did. You did. Honorable Sheriff.
Thank you, Chair. Dr. Naidu, you clearly have a understanding of GBV and gender. So my question, I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult because I think that would be fair. Dr. Naidu, the National Strategic Plan on GBVF, as well as the 3GBV and other legislation, has been adopted by Parliament in recent years in the fight to combat GBVF. Now, I want to know from your perspective, can you explain the National Strategic Plan and name at least two pillars. And how do you foresee that becoming real life? So it's one thing to have policy and legislation on paper. It's one thing to write about it. It's one thing to have the academic understanding of these issues, but it's another thing to have on the ground real experiences working with people who have gone through gender-based violence and femicide and have gone through justice processes that fail them, that have gone through, so many obstacles. So I want to understand from you if you can outline the NSP, but in a way that you make it real so that we can understand some of the work that you've done and get to know more understanding of the in-depth work you've done on the ground. I think what I'm trying to ascertain is understanding, we get the academic part of it, but on the ground, working with people, what have you done and how has the NSP contributed to that? Thank you, Chair.
Okay, firstly, sometimes it becomes difficult to constantly tell victims of GBV that they must put their faith and trust in the courts and the court system. You have to sometimes show them and educate them and make them aware that, look, there are mechanisms. There are mechanisms to help you. There are laws to help you to attain justice. We need to try and develop that awareness of their rights as a human being, as an ordinary human being. Very well, people feel, as you rightly said, that justice fails them or justice delayed, sometimes it's justice denied, but you got to continue to encourage them to put their faith and trust in the systems and the mechanisms that have been created by Parliament, by the government, and by institutions such as the human rights and the CGE. I think constant education and constant awareness and trying to foster this awareness and sometimes trying to come down to their level to show them in layman's terms that yes, there are mechanisms, there are avenues, there are solutions, there are ways in which you can get the justice that you so rightly deserve. And
sorry to interject you, Doctor, but when you say there are mechanisms, at least give us an example so that we are on the same page with you.
I can't hear you, sorry.
When you say there are mechanisms, give us an example so that you can be on the same understanding with you.
Okay, I think in terms of institutions and civil society organizations and the court mechanisms and the justice systems as well. I think I'm alluding to that in terms of that we need to educate some of our some victims of violence that there are these things available to you. There are the courts, there are the social welfare, there is someone there, there is some avenue that will assist you, that you are not alone. Because very often people believe that victims of gender-based violence believe that this is my fate, this is my lot in life, and no one's going to help me because this is just the way it is. No, it's not the way it is, and it's not the way it should be. So education is very important. And I feel that we need to use education as a very important tool, right down from primary school level. It mustn't just start in high school where you suddenly got a boyfriend and issues like that, but start educating the learners from primary school level. And one of my bugbears has been even the literature that is recommended to our learners always seems to be where the female is always taking a subservient role, or it's always the female who's manipulated or the female who's done. Where is the literature that shows we have powerful females, we have champions, we have heroines?
Sheriff?
Yes, Chair. The NSP, and if Dr. Naidu can take us through two pillars of the NSP, Chair.
I think it's to foster an awareness of the rights of all human beings in terms of gender equality. Gender equality and the attainment of gender equality, to live, to achieve and to promote gender equality for all, regardless of your race, your gender, your sexual orientation, your geographical location, or your status, that your rights are entrenched, firmly entrenched in the Constitution. I think that is one of the pillars that we are, every individual is entitled to enjoy those rights that are enshrined in the Constitution. That's the freedom of association, the freedom of education. Yeah, just, yeah, basic human rights. You have a right to you have a right to be in a relationship with whoever you want to be in a relationship in. You have a right to love whoever you want to love. You have a right to go to any place of worship. It is your right. Basic human rights.
Talks about the National Strategic Plan pillars. Remember, the National Strategic Plan has got 6 pillars.
Yes.
For GBV.
Mm.
Those are the pillars that she's talking about.
Okay. I think it's the protection. I'm just a little bit.
Yeah. Remember for GBVF,
Mm.
there was NSP,
Yes.
which was adopted as a policy framework. And it has got 6 pillars. So what she's asking you is that which pillars can you give us in terms of the National Strategic Plan?
I think
gender-based violence and femicide.
I think it's the right to I'm just a little bit nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous. I waited so long for this. It's the right to the freedom of association, right? You the freedom to be in to identify in terms of your sexuality and your gender identity and your basic human rights that are sometimes infringed upon. We have people in our society that frown upon non-normative genders. So those rights need to be protected and enshrined. People need to be made aware that you cannot discriminate against someone on their basis of their sexual identity and gender, their gender identity and sexual orientation. That everyone has a right.
Don't confuse the Constitution and the pillars.
I don't know why I'm so nervous because I've waited so long for this.
Drink some water. Cheers. Let me drink mine so that at least you can be calm. I'm trying to help the doctor. You see, all of us were drinking our water so that you can relax a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm so nervous because this is part of my study as well in terms of a GBV at university level.
Yeah, just think about gender-based violence and femicide.
You know, to create an environment in which all of us, all humans, regardless of our status and our gender, have the freedom to enjoy rights and the privileges that are enshrined in the Constitution. I am so nervous.
Let's leave this question because you spoke about the pillars before, but now you forgot about them. But it's normal. There's nothing abnormal. You know, when you are in interview, you become nervous.
Yes.
And then, but we are trying to make you to relax, you know, so that it's normal. Don't feel bad about it. Okay. Honorable Sheriff, let's pass this one. Honorable Mavimbela.
Thank you, Chair. Doctor, my name is Tabile Silva Mavimbela. I just have one question. How do you think the CGE can strengthen its own monitoring and evaluation tool and oversight by Parliament?
As I said earlier, perhaps amplify their voice a little bit more in terms of the programs and the educational workshops that we have available. And in that way, you become more visible to the ordinary human being. And as I said, very often people don't, to the ordinary person, they don't know what the CGE is. But if you have these programs, you have these intense programs and workshops, you amplify the CGE's voice. And even in terms of an institution, you don't only make it the duty of one person. It becomes everyone's responsibility in terms of achieving and advancing gender equality for all, not just the figurehead, not just the HR, not just the person in Parliament, but everyone, right? And you have this, you command, in that way you command that presence. And yeah. Apologies, I'm just so nervous and I have no idea why, because I'm normally so calm, cool and collective. But
And now you are doing something else, and you were fine all along. Okay.
Human. I think I'm only human. But I'd like to say this, in terms of gender equality and GBV, you know, each act of GBV, gender oppression and gender inequality, it reduces our humanity. And the only way we can increase our humanity.
Is that what you asked? What question did you ask the doctor? Monitoring and evaluation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
repeat
what.
your question.
Repeat the question.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you think the CGE can strengthen its own monitoring and evaluation tool and oversight by Parliament?
I think to introduce more legislation that will make it a little bit easier for, no, I don't think I'm getting your question. To strengthen the constitutional mandate or the mandate in Parliament?
What question is that, Masande?
The question is, how do you think the CGE can
It's
strengthen?
question number what? Number 6.
Is number 9. Question number 9. The doctor
do you
was
think
coming with
the-
it.
Okay, let me help you.
Chairperson. Yes.
How do you think the Commission for Gender Equality can strengthen its own M&E and oversight by Parliament? The question is twofold.
I think to increase stakeholder engagements and engagement with the relevant stakeholders as well, and also to educate the broader society as well. But in terms of Parliament, I think very often I don't know what is happening to me, but I must apologize to the committee. I'm just extremely nervous.
No problem.
I'm so sure that the minutes I exit the forum, I'm going to remember everything.
Yeah, sometimes even when you are writing an exam in class, you know, if you have prepared too much, lot
Yeah.
of information in your head, these things they do happen. And when you just go out, you remember everything.
Thing. Exactly.
Honorable Masiko?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and Dr. Naidu. I think maybe to assist you with also coming down, just take us as your learners in class. Maybe it will help. But my question is around the issue of corporate governance. I'm sure that you do understand that in an institution such as CGE, in terms of running its matters efficiently, it needs to ensure good governance. So now, what is your understanding of corporate governance insofar as the operations of CGE are concerned?
I think firstly, it's very important to look at their HR department in terms of their codes of practice and codes of conduct in terms of achieving gender equality within their corporation as well. How are they advancing gender equality? How are they educating the workforce? What is their actual action plan in terms of implementing gender equality in terms of every aspect and every avenue of the corporation itself? Like I said, when I made several recommendations, one was the uni ways, but I think that particular model can be incorporated in quite a few institutions. If you look at an integrated whole approach system of evaluation in terms of everything, of every institution, you incorporate everyone from the security to the CEO, that everyone becomes involved in achieving this gender equality. It's not just the people in the human resource department that, okay, we must do this because it's the 9th of August, and let's see, it must not just be seen that we are doing things for the sake of doing it. It must be incorporated and embedded in their day-to-day running of of every particular institution. It must have this integrated whole approach system of evaluation, and they must constantly evaluate their own codes of systems and practices in terms of how are they advancing and how are they achieving gender equality.
Thank you very much. I think we've come to the end of your questions. Honorable Sengo. We are done. Honorable Sheriff, you are done. Nazli?
Yes.
You're done, ne?
All good from my side, Chair.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Naidu. Is there any question that you want to ask the panel?
Not really a question. Firstly, just to thank the panel for giving me the opportunity to present myself and for shortlisting me as well. And I must also apologize to the panel. I don't know what came over me. Maybe I need to take the advice that I give to the learners of breathe in and keep calm. Everything is going to be okay. I think the flight down to Cape Town, I was just a bundle of nerves. And as much as I'm telling myself, keep cool, keep calm, everything's going to be okay. When you put on that spot, it's a different ball game. So apologies if sometimes I was inarticulate and perhaps I forgot and perhaps I didn't quite fulfill or answer your question. My apologies, but thank you to the committee for giving me this opportunity.
No, thank you very much, Doctor. It's anxiety. Everybody gets it, especially when you are coming to an institution big like Parliament, a place where we have never visited before.
Exactly.
And it's for the first time. We are meeting members of Parliament, people that you see debating and what. And then today here you are with us, you are sitting there, and all of us were looking at you, were asking you,
Overwhelming.
bombarding you with questions, so it's normal. But we are trying our level best here in this committee. We try our level best to reassure our candidates that they must relax, you know, because it's normal, you know.
Okay.
In any way, even myself, if I can come to your institution and be a student, it will be different because now I'm a student. So it's normal, you don't have to blame yourself. But thank you very much for honoring our invitation. We wish you good luck.
Thank you very much.
Hope we'll see you. And the president is the one who appoints, who makes the last decision, who becomes the commissioner. But all what we are going to do as a committee, we are going to deliberate on the outcomes of the interviews next week and go and present our report to the chamber in the National Assembly so that honorable members can vote for the names that will be recommended. Wishing you good luck.
Thank you so much.
I think you are sleeping in Cape Town.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
So overwhelmed as well.
Yeah, I relax, go and enjoy Cape Town. And then Nelly, everything is arranged for our candidates that are sleeping and those that are coming tomorrow morning. Yeah, good luck.
Thank you
Doctor.
very much.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you very much, honorable members. We've come to the end of our interviews for today. Tomorrow, we're starting early also. And we want to thank our sign language interpreters and our language interpreters. Thank you very much for the work. Well done. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Hopefully you'll be the ones that will be coming because what is good about the work that you're doing, you are able to paraphrase things that we say in our own mother tongue. And that makes also life very easy for us. Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned and have a good night's sleep.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Nazli.
Get home safe, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Just reminding us about these school sheets too. These school sheets.